Hello everyone. Welcome to PRATHAM Test Prep YouTube channel. I'm Ashish Bhargav and welcome to another episode of daily news analysis that we do from Monday to Friday at sharp 11:30 a.m. Majorly we discuss about the Hindu and Indian Express because major chunks of questions that has fetched from in your exam is from the Hindu and Indian Express. And in this newspaper article we discuss about all the important news from all major newspaper, but majorly we focused about the Hindu and Indian Express. And in daily news analysis we discuss about many kind of news that international economy, sports, science and tech, personal news, summits and conference, miscellaneous, national, international news, and apart from that we discuss about Supreme Court verdict, which is very important, especially for the law entrance exam. And one more thing that we can say, we discuss also about a state initiative, which is also important because in a state initiative, so in your exam that they will use to ask you like which state initiative first, Panchayati Raj system, anything that could be possible, right? So and the Supreme Court verdict we discuss about the amendments and all. So hi again everyone, and I welcome each and everyone here. I'm Ashish Bhargav. And one more thing, if you are new in this channel, please subscribe the channel as well, and do not forget to press the bell icon so you will get all the notification of our Pratham Test Prep mentors, right? So here is the quote of the day, and if your voice is high, only a few people will hear. If your thought is high, then many people will listen. And to inculcate this thought process, what exactly you need to do, you have to develop the temperament to read the newspaper. So newspaper reading is a very essential for the students who are preparing for the exam, right? Now, just one small positive thought in the morning can change your whole day. That is a quote of Dalai Lama. And study hard, no matter if it seems impossible, no matter if it takes time, no matter if you have to up all night. Just remember that the feeling of success is the best thing in the entire world. And we have taken initiative questions of the day. So at the end of the session, we discuss about 5 questions, which is very mandatory for you, and it gives you an immense idea like what kind of questions that can be possible to ask in the newspaper, right? So, chalo start karte hain. Is the very first news. Just a second. Okay, so here is the ASRE report and post-pandemic findings. So what kind of questions they can be framed, but major crux of this article is so annual status of education report. ये कौन release करता है? Exam आपसे पूछेंगे. That is called Pratham Foundation. So the annual status of education report that has to be done by Pratham Foundation. Pratham Foundation basically kind of NGO. Pratham Foundation, right? And the full reports in 2018, in 2005, ASRE has surveyed in children the age group of 6 to 14 years. So make sure the ASRE annual status of education report survey that has to be done by 6 to 14 years. And the major things that we can see in this article, we have to focus. So in your exam, they will ask you as per the ASRE report, these things when it will be happen. And despite having major, government initiative, so how has the school enrollment has been affected in the pandemic years? Have improvement in the facilities like midday meals, toilets, etc. contribute to the increase in enrollments? What could the corresponding increase in the private tuition mean? And what is the trend of foundation skills emphasize on national education policy 2020, and what is the road ahead to improve these foundation skills? So basically the first thing is that enrollment has gone up even in a period when a school was shut, and we can say when we were already ready to at very high level earlier because of the COVID era. And second thing that we can say, over the period of time there has been an improvement in infrastructure variables and system that had to matter, of course. And the article says about like the fact that during COVID the many things has been affected, and the reason and the third things that we have to focus in this article is the reason private tuitions went up to the probably that is one it is more flexible, and you could probably negotiate better with the provider that this month do not have money, but next month I will. So the private tuition center has been increased because of the government schools has been shut down in the COVID time. And as we can see that the national initiative of proficiency in reading with understanding of numeracy as a government scheme, that is Nipun Bharat scheme, and Nipun, which means that stand for, we can say, National Initiative for Proficiency in Reading with Understanding and Numeracy. And Foundation Literacy Numeracy Mission, they had received the guidelines, and they had teachers, and had any teachers has been trained. Almost 80% of the schools reported that they had received guidelines and teachers had been trained this. So what are the way forward for this? Way forward is that the integration between the, we can say, Anganwadi system and the school system is urgently needed, because the work starts there. There are Anganwadi everywhere, and their enrollment has gone up. So we can say that the many things that need to be changed, and as per this report, annual status of education report that has to be released by Pratham Foundations, that has bring attentions of many things. Now moving further, here it is the second article is India holds the key to hitting global climate change targets. So sometime in 2023, likely mid-April, India will surpass China as being the country with the largest population, right? So towards the end of 2020, India took on the mantle of G20 leadership, and its leadership slogan, One Earth, One Family, One Future. So make sure you have to learn One Earth. So Earth, second is family and future. One, that means kind of, we can say we are kind somewhere cosmopolitan, right? So, and we can say the slogan of One Earth, One Family, One Future. So change to be set priority. So G20 presidency place India on the global stage and allow it to establish its priority. How will India continue to fuel its growing energy needs, and what we can say decisions will it take about its energy transition? So if we talk about, like, country has made huge strides in improving energy access during the past 2 decades, and India energy mix is carbon intensive. And why I'm telling you this, because as we know that we have more dependency on the coal as well, right? So coal is a primary source of fuel and accounting approximately 70% of electricity generations, and the country also power much of its transport through oil. As a result, India is the world's third largest emitter of CO2 despite low per capita CO2 emissions. Unlike developed nations with mature greenhouse gas infrastructure, India has yet to build a lot of greenhouse gas inventory. So we have to think one more thing, that we have a lots of dependency on the coal, and 70% of electricity generations, that is also depend on the primary source of fuel. And we can say that country's path to decarbonization, which means less the carbon footprint, could be a net positive one. And we are the world's third largest producer of solar energy and enjoy the lowest renewable source cost. So we have to think about the data is the India, the position of in solar energy is third one. Can anyone tell in the comment section which country is the first one? So Green New Deal, which is it is estimated that by greening its economy, India could add $1 trillion to GDP by 2030 and $15 trillion by 2070. So the World Economic Forum remains committed to supporting India. It is contributing to the country's climate and land restoration goals through its Trillion Tree platform. If we talk about the G20 presidency, that offers India the opportunity to shape the climate and energy transitions agenda at a global level. So what is the crux is that we can say what should be the way forward, that India can establish itself as a role model through its response to these opportunity, and potentially having a responding impact on the, we can say, in the collective future. This is the main crux, the main data point, the important takeaways, as I told you, that is for your exam. Now moving further to the next article, here is talking about admonishments that endanger the constitution. What exactly is it talking about? There is a clash of Tamil Nadu governor and the chief minister. So we have to understand that what is the constitutional provision for the governor, what is the role of governor, and what kind of things that the additional data that we have discussed in this article. So we can say that the 50 years since the Supreme Court of India delivered the verdict in Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala. And what it was happened, the Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala case, the government says that we cannot violate the basic structure doctrine. We cannot violate the structure of basic structure doctrine, right? A basic structure doctrine is somewhere mentioned in the articles that I told you in the earlier YouTube session, right? So in the years since the verdict, if not in its immediate aftermath, its importance has been recognized by the successive government. So what is the Union Law Minister of our country? His name is Kiran Rijiju. Kiran Rijiju, which was earlier as a sports minister of our country. So Kiran Rijiju is our law minister. So in your exam that they will ask you about the cabinet minister also. So the Union Minister of Law and Justice, that is Kiran Rijiju, that indeed Mr. Dhankar have repeatedly doubted the court's judgment 2015. And as we know that earlier it was NGAC. What was the main work of NGAC? National Judicial Appointment Commission. So transfer and appointment of judges that has held to be by NGAC. So main work of NGAC is that we can say appointment of and transfer of judges. Now in after 2019 there was a collegium system. And what is a collegium system? Is collegium system we can say that would be solely responsible for appointment and transfer of judges, right? So what exactly is the bone of contention is? So the bone of contention is that the criticism is now turned sharpener with the vice president, and that against Keshavananda Bharati case, which says that we cannot violate the basic structure doctrine, right? So we can say that the All India Presiding Officers Assembly Speaker Conference that was in Jaipur that has suggested to the government to change something, and we can say that the foundation of the Constitution. So were we to begin with the elementary promise of India Constitution as originally adopted, that comprises a set of principles that together lend its identity. So we will see the raison d'etre for the basic structure doctrine that is not difficult to grasp. On any reasonable reading of Constitution history, one can see that Constitution is a product of collective vision. Obvious that because if you talk about in our country, just a second. If you talk about in our country, so Constitution is basically we can say that is a value and facts of all the Constituent Assembly members. That's why it takes more than 2 years, right, to make the entire Constitution. So we have to think about, like one can see that a vision is built on distincts, right, that is interwoven ideals, among others, that India would be governed by the rule of law, that our structure of governance would rest on Westminster parliamentarism. So as we know, we have parliamentary form of government, and parliamentary form of government, which means that the executive is solely responsible to the legislature, right? So executive, which means in our country, if you talk about, there's a parliament as an executive body, right? And legislature, which means is a parliament, and executive, which means executive head of the government is Prime Minister of India, which is known to be a head of the Council of Minister. And one more thing that we can say that, and that Prime Minister is responsible to the Parliament. That is the main crux of the parliamentary form of government. So that India would be governed by the rule of law, right? So that our structure of governance would rest on Westminster parliamentarism, that is power of legislature. The executive and judiciary would be separate, and that court would be independent of government, and that our state would have absolute power over defined sphere of governance. That is the main crux of the article. So that's why the constitutional provision is defining such things. Now we can say, as the court would later explain in Minerva Meal versus Union of India case. So in 1980, that case, that incidentally at stake that was very survival of the idea that fundamental rights are inviolable and parliament tool is creature of the constitution. So therefore we can say it can only have such powers that are expressly vested on it, and if those powers are seen as ultimated, parliament, the court found, would cease to be an authority under the constitution. Now we move to the next article, is, again we can say the basic structure which I told you, that President Sri Jagdeep Dhankar, and who is the vice president is known to be a ex officio member of Rajya Sabha. So who is the Rajya Sabha speaker in our country? बाई डिफॉल्ट जो हमारे राज्यसभा स्पीकर होते हैं बाई डिफॉल्ट हमारे कंट्री के वाइस प्रेसिडेंट होते हैं, एक्स ऑफिशियल मेंबर ऑफ राज्यसभा, राइट. लैंडमार्क क्वेश्चंस कोर्ट जजमेंट, doctrine of basic structure. So he asked the judiciary can put theatre of parliament powers to amend the constitution. So Keshwanandi Bharti case was a state of Kerala, we already discussed, known as Keshwanandan Bharti judgment, was a landmark decision and Supreme Court that outlined the basic structure doctrine of Indian constitution. And we can say this case is also known as fundamental right case, right? So sorry. 24th Constitutional Amendment Act 1971 that is stated that Parliament is empowered to abridge, to take away the fundamental rights, which we have already discussed, right? Now here is the third one, use global firepower to 2023. War does not determine who is right, only who is left. That is Bertrand Russell. So global firepower is the first rank is in United States. Basically global firepower, the index is talking about the what is strength of army in your country, right? So there are many parameters through which that we global firepower check the country is strength is in what context. The first position goes to US, Russia and China. So now we discuss this one. So global firepower index is based on their potential military strength. So India is ranked 4th in the index. So global firepower index ranked 145 countries now, and the countries were evaluated based on prolonged offensive and defensive military campaign. So if you talk about global firepower index, that is calculated using 50 individual factors from geography to logistical capability, and it also includes manpower, land forces, that is the parameters, air power, natural resources, naval forces, logistic and financials. So under manpower, the factors considered are, we can say, total population, parliamentary reaching military age annually, and we can say is in its index US at the top, Russia at the second, China third, and India is the fourth one. So again we can say in this index is US is number 1, Russia is the second army strength if we talk about, third is China, and fourth one is India, and fifth one is UK. So only the 1, 2, 3rd, 4th is need to remember, right? So India having position is 4th one, and China 3rd, Russia 2nd, and top position that is in United States of America. Now the report flags widening learning gaps. So this is already we have discussed about somewhat ASRE report, right? That is published by the Pratham NGO. So that this article is quite similar, but only the difference is that this is somewhere in the Indian Express, and this is somewhere from the this article is from the Hindu, and that one from the Indian Express. So annual status of education report survey that is released by the Pratham, and Pratham is a, we can say, non-governmental organization, right? Make sure that is Pratham is a non-governmental organization that published the ASRE report, which is annual status of education report. And this reports the data and database question, they are less possible to chance, and we have already discussed this article in the, just a second, as we can see this article is quite similar to this one, ASRE report. We have already discussed the beginning of the class. So now moving to the next article. NCM chief claims Jain pacified by the government decision on Sam Shikhar. See, such kind of news that is called a controversial news, right? What exactly you need to do? आपको इसमें short notes बनानी हो चाहिए, like Jains की, who is a Jain के बारे में क्या controversy है. And exam में controversy they will not ask. They will ask you the foundation of that one. कि who was the founder of Jainism? Who was the first Tirthankar? First Tirthankar of Jainism is Rishabdev, and 24th Tirthankar, that we can say Vardhaman Mahavir. So once if the any news in the newspaper articles, so make sure what is the foundation, what is the static topic behind this. And that kind of a static topic they will ask you. Like if you talk about, I am giving you an example. CLAT में इस साल उन्होंने पूछा कि फर्स्ट दलित प्रेसिडेंट कौन थे इंडिया के, बिकॉज द वेरी फर्स्ट टाइम इन आवर कंट्री दैट वी हैव फर्स्ट ट्राइबल प्रेसिडेंट, राइट. तो that's why it's because of many newspaper articles covering Deccan Herald, Indian Express, Business Standard, Economics Times, The Hindu. So that's why there was the first Dalit president of our country. Can anyone tell in the comment section who was the first Dalit president of our country? So जब भी इस टाइप के आर्टिकल कंट्रोवर्शियल हो तो मेक श्योर कि इसमें जो आपका मेन फाउंडेशन है उसको देखो, राइट. फाउंडर ऑफ जैनिज्म, तीर्थंकर, इंपॉर्टेंट टेकअवेज फॉर द एग्जाम. So members of Jain community have been taking protest in different parts of country for the past 2 weeks over demanded to hold site. First is Sam Shikhar on Parashnath Hill in Jharkhand, and second is Shatunjaya Hills in the Palinchana of Gujarat. So in Jharkhand, the issue about Parashnath Hill that being declared as a tourist spot and eco-sensitive zone, while in Gujarat the row is over the vandalizing of a shrine and related security concern. Now, spot wheel eagle owl spot in Andhra Pradesh, Session Forest in the first time. They kahan pe hai? Obvious that we can say Andhra Pradesh. And here is a one tiger reserve, is Nagarjun Sagar Shri Shalam Tiger Reserve, right. And though both are labeled as least concern in the terms of population ability, तो आपको बस only दो चीजें we need to understand this. Now moving further, a viral nutrition new study reveals microbes nourished by consuming virus. So in this article, basically we have to understand what is microbes is, right. Microbes simple is kind of bacteria which is spreading from one places to another places. And in this thing that we have to understand what is plankton. So plankton are microscopic organism, right, and that can only move with the current, and they do not have any facility to actively propel themselves. That is the only things. And we can say after COVID-19 pandemic, viruses have as reputation and destroyers of public health system and human lives. So only need to understand that what is plankton and what is, we can say, microbes. The conflict behind eco-sensitive zones. So basically in this article, this talking about the ECZ zones. So that we can say that eco-sensitive zones are those zones that where we can say that not fishermen has to be allowed. And one more thing that we have to understand in the eco-sensitive zone is the as per the Gram Sabha, as we can say Gram Sabha, that will not allowed to do any hazardous activities to work in the eco-sensitive zone. So that's why people of Tamil Nadu and some parts of Telangana are started protesting against this. So researchers have found first known a virovore, an organism that eat viruses, and the new findings are understanding role virus play in the food chain in microscopic level. So virovores के बारे में अगर बात करें तो it's an actual species of protist that feast on viruses, and these virus eating species of protist which are their own kingdom, and the tree of life are not an animal, plant or fungi. So microbes altogether is a common genus of protist known as fleet about its hair like cilia, propel it through the water. Now, fewer VIP invites 32,000 seats for the general public at Republic Day parade. Chief guest का नाम I have told you couple of times about who is our Egypt के जो president है, who is our chief guest, right? So from over 1 lakh seats in the previous editions in the Republic Day parade, and here is only around, we can say, 32,000 seats for the general public at the Republic Day parade. और यहाँ पे हमारे इजिप्टियन के आर्म फोर्स कंटिजेंट होंगे दैट विल मार्च ऑन द कर्तव्य पथ विच इज चीफ गेस्ट, और इनका नाम क्या है इजिप्ट के प्रेसिडेंट का, हु इज़ आवर चीफ गेस्ट फॉर द 26 जनवरी आवर रिपब्लिक डे इज अब्देल फताह एल सीसी. Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. The name should be remembered because he is our chief guest of our Republic Day. So that's why the Egypt president, that is called Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Now it's time to questions of the day. चलो सारे तैयार हो जाओ, and it's time to questions of the day. The very first question is here. What is the process by which warm surface water sinks and replaced by colder, deeper water in global overturning circulation? Convection, upwelling, advection, and thermoline circulation. Okay, so here is the D is the right answer. Thermoline circulation refers to a process by which water sinks in the high latitude due to the high density. Density, which means that mass per volume area. Density, which means mass per volume area, caused by low temperatures and high salinities, and then it spreads out and rises in the lower latitudes where it warms and evaporates, becoming less dense. And this process, also known as global ocean conveyor belt, is a major component of global overturning circulation. What is the largest island in the Indian Ocean? So Madagascar, Sri Lanka, Borneo and Sumatra. Very easy for everyone. Try to give the answer. Don't think कि ये questions बहुत tough है, बहुत high level के हैं, बहुत easy हैं. Don't think about this. Largest island in the Indian Ocean. Or best answer would be option A. So Madagascar is the largest island in the Indian Ocean, covering an area of 5,87,041 square kilometer. So A was the right answer. Next one, what is the criteria for appointment of Chief Justice of India? Based on seniority, based on merit, C is political affiliation, and both A and B. Until unless you will not practice the question, how you will solve it in your exam time. Many times in newspaper analysis we have discussed about appointment of Chief Justice of India. So obviously the answer would be D1. Appointment of Chief Justice of India is based on both seniority and merit. Most judges of Supreme Court is considered for the post, but the president also takes into account of judge qualification and experience. So basically collegium system is solely responsible for appointment and transfer of Supreme Court and High Court judges. How many members in collegium? There are 5 members including CJI. So in our country, judges select to another judges. World Social Report 2023 is released by ILO, UNICEF, UNDP, UNDESA. Reports and index based questions 2 से 3 questions होंगे एग्जाम में. एटलीस्ट 1-2 questions तो होते ही होते हैं, so that you have to keep attention कि what kind of questions can be framed. और वो मैं ऑलरेडी डिस्कस कर चुका हूँ आपसे कि वर्ल्ड सोशल रिपोर्ट कब रिलीज हुई थी, कौन रिपोर्ट ये रिलीज करता है. So International Labour Organization, the United Nations Children Emergency Fund, it was earlier, but now UNICEF is United Nations Children's Fund. United Nations Development Program and UNDC. तो obvious का आंसर है D1. Yes, D is the right answer. So United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, UNDESA, that published the World Social Report 2023 with the leaving no one behind the aging worlds. So World Social Report 2023 constantly release किया, that is United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, that is UNDESA. And here is the last questions of the day. Varuna 2023 is a bilateral naval exercise between India and which country? Australia, Bangladesh, there's a gap in this one, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and France. Varuna 2023 is a bilateral naval exercise which is in between India and which country? And day before yesterday we have discussed about this article, that is Varuna 2023. So do it, hurry. Okay, so the right answer is option D. 21st edition of bilateral naval exercise between India and France, Varuna, commenced on western seaboard, while the bilateral exercise between two navies was initiated in 1993. It was christened in Varuna in 2001 and has become the hallmark of India France strategic bilateral relationship. Bilateral, which means the two countries having established the relation. The exercise facilitates operational level interaction between the two navies to foster mutual cooperation for good order at sea. Second, underscoring the shared commitment of both nations to security, safety and freedom of global maritime commons. Right? So I hope you enjoyed the session a lot, and if you have any questions regarding the session, please let me know in the comment section, right? And if you have any query, please let me know in the comment section as well. Our entire team is willing to help you each and every time, right? And please comment, subscribe the channel, and do not forget to press the bell icon and share to your friends and family group, because everyone must know about what is happening in our country, right? And we'll meet you on the Monday session. Thank you so much for joining with us, and enjoy your weekend. मिलते हैं फिर आपसे Monday, and we'll meet you on the Monday session. Thank you so much. Bye bye and take care. अपना ख्याल रखें.